Hey everybody, welcome to Field of Dreams on NCBN TT. My name is Steve David, I'm your host. Today I have with me an old friend, school day friend, who is here visiting in the country. Doesn't live in the country no more, but he's here visiting. And we want to talk to him about the rivalry with St. Benedicts College in Fatima. And there was a game on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. So he would be there, of course. And I want to take time to say welcome to Allan Cupid. Welcome to the set, Allan.
I'm glad to be here.
I know everybody knows who Allan Cupid is. And I know you are quite familiar and aware of what that rivalry with Fatima College and St. Benedicts was. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that and other things, catch up on some things that we left off.
Sure.
So, you heard about the St. Benedicts game, right?
Yes, St. Benedicts, Fatima, the sequel.
The sequel? Is that a good word for it?
Yes.
And are you backing anybody?
Well, Benedicts for life.
Of course.
For life, Benedicts for life, because...
I wanted to get Gary here so we can really have somebody from Fatima representing,
Right, yeah.
but it was not possible, so it's just you and me. So let's go back 58 years ago, I think it was, or 57 years ago, when Fatima played St. Benedict's College.
Right.
I hope you can still recall some of that.
Sure.
And what was it like for the days before the build-up to that game?
Well, the build-up was, we literally had the best team, some of the greatest college players at that time. So people were coming to see good football, St. Benedict's College, and then they wanted to see who could beat St. Benedict's College, that being Fatima, being the other team in the north. Mm-hmm. So we had Warren Archibald, Leroy DeLeon, John Stedman, Kenny Joseph, Dick Furlong, Peter Bernard, they call him the Green Giant.
Right.
Right, and we had Kyle Whiteman, Adrian Chandler, Bede Wells. This was the team to beat.
Star-studded.
Right, Fatima had Everett Cummins, Earl Fu, Wayne Jackson, Glenn Seagley was the goalkeeper, God rest his soul because I think he passed. And they had Bourne, Gibbons, Roger Dupre, Earl Fu. So this was the game. So it was the whole of North versus the whole of South, plus people come to see this brand for bragging rights. And that was it.
Which it will be Wednesday because Fatima has a following, a big following, and St. Benedict's, of course, still has I think St. Benedict's is unbeaten. So, which hadn't happened in a long time. So, it would be something. And hopefully we would see some of the
old rivalry
old guys
show its head again. Right.
Show again.
Well, I've been since I've been here, everybody talking about St. Benedict's College. Now, my daughter, she went to St. Benedict's College. She taught at St. Benedict's College. My two sons went to St. Benedict's College. And now my two grandsons going to St. Benedict's College. So they're Benedicts by birth and by heart. But my daughter teaches presentation now. So she was supporting Presentation College. So I have to go to this game to see what is the result or what happened if the foundation is still there. Or what if the nucleus are good football is still there. I saw a couple of games, but I couldn't determine because of the condition of the field. It was rainy and muddy and all that. But I'm hoping to see good weather and a good game tomorrow.
What were players? You know any players in the team? Because I don't.
I don't know anybody on the team itself because I just came in Monday. And it was just now for now, So Reggie Renrick, who used to be our form master and sports master at the time. He asked me to do this, so I have to do this just for the Benedicts tradition, you know, to go and make sure that I see or say something. I tried going into the school at one time, but because of the restrictions that they had and COVID was just about to come, so I just didn't go. But I'm hoping for a good game, and I hope that the result will be the same.
Yeah, your expectations, you hope what? 4-0?
Well, the way they score, this is a prolific goal scoring team, and they beat St. Augustine 14-1. And I was looking at the game Thursday at your place down in Point. And when I got there, the score was 4-0 half time. So, I mean, at this game, they have the tradition to score goals. Like Bruno said, you score one and they're still fighting. You score two, to score three, and then you demoralize them. So then it was goals galore, really. And that is what you were, a prolific goal scorer, Steve David.
It's, well, I can't be counted into that greatness that you guys have, even though I get mixed in there, but I really played junior and senior grade at the time, and I could even get close to the championship team.
Well, that is so good, but we had 3 levels, you know. We had the junior, the senior grade, and the championship team. The reason why we had such a good finishing, because we had a farm system. We didn't go and get players from anywhere. It came through St. Benedict's farm system. The juniors, the championship,
senior,
and the senior grade, you know. So once we left, players from the college itself filled that void. And that is how you came about. Leo Brewster, Cleveland Leonard died, I mean, God rest his soul. Lawrence Rondon, same thing. Keith Reno, Shoes Allan, all these guys were from that era that really carried the tradition on. Benedict's winning, Benedict's success.
So what you remember for the week before that game, or we didn't get to the game yet, it was just the build up to the game. What was life like for you, like during that week before the game? Did you have butterflies? Was you just...
Well, we was sequestered. You know, Benedicts, the dam said, listen, we had to live together, stay together, pray together. So we all were on the college commons in Laramie. We weren't privy to the public, so we had to stay there and focus. We practiced upstairs the commons. It was big enough for us to practice up there.
Right.
We would go to the school to have lunch. We fix our own breakfast. So the butterflies was out because we won't focus on Fatima, we were focused on us. You see, so being in that mindset, nothing could have really come in between us and winning. Because the dam always said, like, football was our way of life and was our way to be heard in Trinidad. He said that, and that is how we took it seriously. We had to, like, focus. There was no let up. There's no slacking. You know, we had to just play ball, focus, win. That was it.
So that was just like another game then. It wasn't like we coming up with this big rivalry game. And Fatima was really the rival, or it was?
Fatima was really the best team apart from St. Benedict's in the north. So we didn't see Fatima. We saw another game. We saw another team, because we couldn't take that and focus on that, because that would cause the butterflies. So we just went there to play football that day. The day would start. We went up. We had breakfast with the dam. After, he would come in and he would speak to you individually and have you focused, have you pumped. When you come out there, man, you can't see nothing else but green. You see?
Right.
So we were well focused because we had all that exposure on the I could say international level, because we had toured before. You know, we went to Martinique and other places. So the big stage was the norm for us, you know. And that was it until that day of the game.
So you remember running out in the field and seeing all these people in Skinner Park and screaming.
We couldn't even run out, man, because we left Laramie at 2 o'clock. The game was a 4:15 game. We left Laramie at 2 o'clock, which is a 10 or 15 minutes ride. And we reached there at 4 o'clock. I have never seen so many people in a game. It was just a narrow way to the dressing room and then to the, it was unbelievable. So we changed because we were halfway dressed from Laramie. And when we were not on that field, it was just the football path. Everything else was people, a sea of people. But we never go back into the dressing room, period. Because Americo Bruno said, listen, let's stay on the field, entertain on the field. So we would normally run out, wave to the crowd, halftime. Harry was our masseuse.
Right.
And he was like the everything. So you'd have drinks, glucose, whatever we needed, bring it right there on the field. So halftime we would stay on the pitch. We wouldn't go back into the dressing room.
Right. And I remember a tradition Dom had was that when, like, you guys on the field, and then he would come out, and everybody would come towards him, and he would say what he has to say, and then they go back out.
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yes. But the night before, when he have you individually, he would make you swear to fight the enemy until they drop.
Oh, wow.
And then you had to kiss the cross, and then you leave. So you were focused the night before. You were all focused. You were all, when I say, you tuned in on the whole situation, because we knew that that opportunities that we had to go to St. Benedicts College, it was an opportunity for life. You know what I mean? So you had to either you perform then and fly up on the big stage, or failure was not in our repertoire. It wasn't there at all. No failure in our vocab. So we had to focus, and winning was the end game.
The final score in that game was what, 2-1?
2-1.
And we obviously scored and they equalized or something?
We scored 5 goals to win 2-1, you know.
How come?
Because Kenny scored 3 goals, and the referee at that time was Lloyd DeGoville, and he disallowed 3 of the goals. But we were down 1-0.
We were down?
We were down 1-0.
1-0? And
then Kenny equalized and make it 1-1. Then we come and we score again and they disallowed it. We score again and it was disallowed. We score again, it was disallowed. And then Adrian Chandler pick up midfield, beat one man, took that shot, 2-1. So Adrian scored a winning goal on that game.
Yeah, I remember Adrian saying, Wouter always say, you know, you want to get an opportunity, hit it to goal, you get an opportunity, do it.
Yeah.
You never know what can happen, because Wouter was into swerving the ball and all that kind of stuff. But Wouter wasn't the coach for that game.
The coach was Americo Bruno. Wouter taught us all the fundamentals. We knew all the plans, 4-2-4, 4-3-3, WM formation, triangle. And Bruno came and taught us how to score goals. He said, you're playing football to score goals. So we weaken them by scoring frequently. So after a while, you're going to be walking in the goal with the ball, because we kill the spurts, you know? So that is how it was. And the Dam see this team through him. See what I'm saying there? And that is how, they always say that a fish rot from the head. And that is how he was focused so much, and he had us focused in that way that it was no letting up.
You know? You called so many players that brought back big memories, like Sandpick and all these guys, but you didn't call the ace.
Who, Leroy?
Yeah.
I did.
Oh, you did call Leroy?
I did call Leroy.
Okay.
I did call Leroy.
Because Leroy was the ace in the hole.
He definitely was the ace.
Right.
But Leroy was the sweeper on the team, you know. Pick was the first stopper, because we played 4-3-3.
Right.
See what I'm saying there? 4 forwards, 3 links, and 3 backs. And a goalkeeper. So we attacked with 7 and we defended with 7. The 3 links and the 3 forwards, and then we defended with the 3 links and the 3 backs plus me. Leroy was the sweeper on that team. John Stenman was the left back. Kyle Whiteman was the right back. You couldn't get past Sandpick Peter Bernard in the air. So Leroy would clean up everything that came by. And then he was always a total footballer. You see?
Okay. So, well, I'll tell you what, let's take a break now. When we come back, we will get into more of this. Viewers will be right back after the short break.
Current affairs.
Oh, what?
That's it. That's it.
Welcome, one and all. I am Gigula, alongside my sidekick, Mr. Aruka.
Your partner in crime, Juliet.
And we are going to be live on NCBN on a social media platform near you. IG, Facebook, YouTube. We are going to be
Sensational,
tantalizing,
thought-provoking,
dramatic,
educational,
real,
sometimes spiritual,
suspense,
political analysis.
drama.
Take no prisoners, Juliet. Don't forget that part. Coming soon.
20,000 can rise against we like zombies.
Hi, join us for your movie classics on NCBN TT television network every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. with repeats on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. NCBN Television, the #1 online television network, bringing you the classics.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Allan, there was something special about you and something unique with the fat cap that you used to wear. Tell me a little bit about that. What made you start wearing that? Or was that any help to you? Did you wear it for a purpose?
Well, it was twofold.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the location of the goalposts in Trinidad, north-south. We had the sun on both sides.
Right.
So I used the cap to shade the sun, you know, the sunlight, the glare.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became a style, but a style that had a purpose. It was saving me from the sun being in my eyes. If I go across to get a ball, I could actually see it with that hat being pulled down to shade the sun. And it became a tradition.
Yeah, everybody likes it. But you were like a 14-year-old kid at that time. Were you able to touch the crossbar jumping?
That was my focus. I would go under a basketball court and just elevate myself and jump straight up and hold the ring. Straight up from under the court, hold the ring, swing on the ring.
So it was.
So it was never a problem. The practice was to stand in the middle of the goal, and Bruno would hold the ball at the corner of the post, and I had to dive from here and snatch the ball out of his hands before it dropped on both sides. So the focus was to go for the ball. Nothing in the 18-yard box coming in the air supposed to cross, and the 6-yard box was worse. everything up there, I had to go get it. Yes. Once it touched your hand, it had to stay.
Looking back in time now on you, you seems like Lil. You used to fly from one end to the next, like you said, and up in the air, anything close to the crossbar to the V, you put it over the top. So you probably were real light on your feet.
Well, because of the practice, it was 7 days a week, 24 hours a day for us. Because while we were down on the college campus, everybody had 2 to 3 balls. So you couldn't do your own thing. You had to stay there. So I mean, I'm practicing on the board. You know, so we had to do everything on the board because the ground wasn't all that. You know, St. Benedict's ground wasn't all that. So it wasn't that pretty good. You know, so we practice upstairs. The Commons was really big enough so we could play an actual whole scrimmage up there. And then we would jog to Skinner Park. We would ride the bus to Skinner Park, practice from there, and then we would jog behind the bus back to Laramie. We did that one time. We went to Faizabad, we played BP Faizabad with Lance Moore and them guys. And then after beating BP Faizabad, we jogged to Forest, caught the bus, and then started the jog to Point. So our focus was on practice your skills. And then we put it together, and that was it.
I want to ask you this. The best saves, 2 saves I saw you made. Again, one with a young Babsy Daniel team when you dive and tip a ball over the crossbar that was, to me, right in the V at the goal. And the second one was the ball bouncing going into the goal, you on this side of the ball, and the goal there, and the ball bouncing going. I said, well, goal. And you dive forward towards the goal. Put your hand on the ball and throw it back. You can't remember that, I know you can't. This is on the Commons, down in Laramie. And I thought, wow, I didn't even think about that because I said, there's no chance the ball going in the goal for sure. And you throw it back. Blindly throw it back. Luckily, the defenders clear it out, but those are the 2 best saves I saw you make. What is your best save that you think you've made? Or can you remember any?
I'm focusing on the same game. This was a practice session. Yeah. And the junior team was playing the championship team. It was you, your Brewster, Leonard, and all these guys. But anytime, the closer you go to the sideline, or the quarter line, I should say, the goalpost line, I would leave the angle and step off because you can't score on me from that angle. Mm-hmm. So I would step off because the only thing you're going to do is to cross the ball. So I would step to get that cross. But somehow that ball swerved and caught me here. Oh, expecting the cross, I was going first post. Mm-hmm. And that was adrenaline took me there, and to make that save. Another one I used to do, if you come on a ball, I would come skating feet first and then drag the ball after. Right. So by me coming with my feet first, you had to jump, you know, and
so you get.
That's right. So even if it's you a 1-on-1, you can't get past me because I'll make myself big, you know. Skate first and then I have all my arms to get it. And you must jump because I'm coming feet first, which was legal at the time, you know. Now they're going to say, oh, your peg's exposed.
No,
yes, you know.
But looking at you in the goal, you were always a wide target. I mean, you weren't fat or nothing, but you were built.
Yes.
And always like a wide target, but very agile.
Yeah, because I was always built because I guess my father was that way. You know, I guess genes. You know, I was always built, but I was nimble, you could say, because of the amount of practice. Because I grew up in Forest Reserve, we had the biggest park in the world, Goddard Park. You know, in order to get on that ground, you had to prove yourself. And at that time, we had Allan and Selwyn Moore and Butram Grell. So these are the big guys that would be taking shots, and I used to go after them. Fly, I had to fly. because there was a rivalry in Forest there. It was Allan Thomas. And Allan used to say for Fatima at the time. And I just had to, in order, if you wanted to be successful at the time, you had to perform because they had plenty goalkeepers. Forest was noted for. They had George Baker before him, you know, and so Point had Cox Batiste. And then Pat Gomez came down, so I would go in them games and focus on the goalkeepers, you know, because I mean, I just love it. I think to me it was style, it was flair, you know what I mean? I think that was the most glamorous part of the field. So I could allow you that ball to pass me and then dive back and hold it, and that was a practice. So, and the motto was anything that touched my hand had to stay. There was no second chances, you know, slapping nothing down, you had to hold it, you know. And that's what makes St. Benedicts good, because me being in the back, people used to say that I couldn't save because I never got tested because Benedict's team was so good. But then I focused on controlling the defense and all that stuff from behind, and that was part of the goalkeeping, getting your team in line too.
And you're right, you mentioned Cox Batiste and Baker.
Yeah.
And they were both wide, but they weren't agile and light on the feet. They were, when they come like a tractor.
Right.
But you were different in that regard that I remember.
Yeah, I guess it was different different style and different coaching. Them guys didn't have the training that I had, you know. Like I say, stand in the middle of the goal post and dive to the post to catch that ball before it touched the ground, you know. And at serious, the elevation, it was like normal for me. I could stand under the basketball ring and just elevate yourself and hold it. So all of that was part, and that, you know, practice made perfect, you know. And that was it. Because from there, I went to a national Trinidad football session, you know, and we had trials. And the goalkeepers was Lincoln Phillips, Jared Figaro, Tommy Rock, another guy named Pemberton. But between Lincoln and Figaro, and it was only alone it was 6 college guys got called in that trial. And it was me and Lincoln, but Army didn't go, so me and Jamute went to Jamaica. That was the first leg of the CONCACAF back there in 1966.
Well, yeah, I remember while in school, come home, and Civic Center, who you used to play for, is it Shell or Civic Center at the time?
It was Civic Center.
Civic. And you were the goalkeeper with Kenny Joe and Wilfred and Keith Douglas with Salim.
Yeah.
And you guys won the SFL easy. Scored a whole bunch of goals.
Yeah.
And all that. So that team was also, that was like a follow-up from after you finished St. Benedicts College. That Civic Center was the team that I saw you play with.
Yeah, well, we played 5 finals in 6 days on 1 all, including the FA Trophy, because we had the same nucleus of players, so we knew each other, and Civic Center became the team to beat, you know, in Trinidad and Tobago, because we beat Army, beat everybody, because we had the same nucleus of players from St. Benedicts College, with the exception of a few like Tano and Mello Douglas, you know. But they had this guy before Pops, and he got hurt, so Mello came and took over. But this Civic Center was like that. I got 1 goal that season, 1 goal, and you know who scored the goal? Leslie Boudou, when we played Point Up here. Yeah, Dave Travelay was St. Benedicts sportsmaster, and he came back. He heard so much about Civic Center team, and we went to play them. And Leslie Boudou got a score goal, and we lost the game 1-0. Everybody cried. I said, I said, man, you guys didn't perform. You let Point Up here. I said, it was a real letdown for the team, and that never happened again, because we took it for granted. You know, everybody got swelled, head got swollen at that time. But that is the lack of discipline. That's why we lost.
But in Point, you have to leave Point. This for the footballers in Point. Have to leave Point, go out and establish themselves to come back to Civic Center to make the team. You left Forest, came to Point, which is unusual. Of course, you're the best goalkeeper in the island, so you're coming in. And why you leave Forest? And because Forest was a great team too.
Yes.
So why would you leave Forest and come to play in Point? Is it because of the guys from school, from college?
Because of the guys from school, yeah, because of Benedicts. Because there was nobody on Forest team that went to St. Benedict's College. There was Neville Grell.
Right.
But Neville, he was the senior gate captain at your time, but Forest team wasn't as glamorous, and Shell or Civic Center was it because I was at home with the players. And then I was replacing Cox Baptiste, Pat Gomez, you know, and because, well, they had a goalkeeper named Millet, but I never right. And then there was Hawker Duck. I don't know his right name, but everybody called him Hawker Duck. But the mere idea that I'm going over there to step into Cox Baptiste's shoes, and Pat Gomez at the time, of course, Pat was the national goalkeeper, you know. And Pat never had to make no flamboyant save because he knew all the angles. He was right there in position. So, I mean, all these guys that I emulated, and it was everything mixed up into one, and that was it, you know. And then being at that time, making a national team and going on tour. I mean, with Lincoln, Alvin Cornell, and all them top guys. I mean, that was phenomenal for me. It was. And then from that game, from going on tour, that is when I got discovered. When St. Benedict's played Tuna in Skinner Park, and it was Tuna and me, and we lost that game 1-0, 30 seconds to go. And
yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, that we played there, and because from that tour Jamaica, Archie, Everett, Leroy, Jan, they got their contracts to go, so they came back to take a look at me and Kenny, and that was the game. We played Tuna in Skinner Park. And that team had Caravetti, Luis Carlos Freitas. He acted as young Pele, and that team was star-studded with youths too. And from then, that was it. That is when I got the contract and went to play with the Baltimore Bays. And Kenny and I went to Baltimore. Everyone went to Atlanta, and Archie Dilly and Jan went to New York Generals.
Oh, so you and KJ broke off to a different team?
Yes.
To Jan, Archie, and Leroy.
Right. Everyone went south to Atlanta. We came up north to Baltimore, and Archie and they went to New York Generals. I think you probably played at the time. You went to New York Generals at the time, or it was?
Oh, no. When I turned pro, I went to Miami Toros.
Oh, okay.
That is after our Haiti thing. Yeah. But that is years after, 4 or 5 years after. Yeah. Anyhow, so I want to talk a little bit to you also about, family. It looked like though you recruited people for St. Benedict's in the family, or you made children to go to St. Benedict's, and they made children to go to St. Benedict's. Tell us about that.
Well, my first wife, well, she died because she was from San Fernando Secondary, you know, and got married. I had 2 boys, Art and Allan. Allan Stevenson Jr. and Art Dwayne. They both went to St. Benedict's College, did well, you know. Allan is a shift superintendent at Atlantic Energy, and Art, he's a tool pusher he was Petrotrin before, and now it's Heritage.
Okay.
But I had a daughter too, so my daughter, she being the first, she taught at St. Benedict's College, you know. So they have my daughter teaching St. Benedict's College, 2 sons going. And now my 2 grandsons, I had 2 sons. They go to St. Benedict's College too. But the tradition didn't end at that. There was a guy named David Regis. He had 2 sons that went to St. Benedict's too, and his daughter went to St. Benedict's. My son got married to his daughter. Her 2 sons, which are my 2 grandsons, go to St. Benedict's now. So it was a legacy of Cupid and Regis with St. Benedict's College.
Good. Let's take a break. When we come back, though, we get a little more deeper into that, and talk some other things about the game coming up. Viewers will be right back after the short break.
Coming soon.
Current affairs.
Oh, what? Coming soon.
That's it. That's it.
Welcome, one and all. I am Gigi Love, alongside my sidekick, Mr. Ruka.
Your partner in crime, Juliet.
And we are going to be live on NCBN on a social media platform near you. IG, Facebook, YouTube. We are going to be
Sensational,
tantalizing,
thought-provoking,
dramatic,
educational,
real,
sometimes spiritual,
suspense,
political analysis.
drama.
Take no prisoners, Juliet. Don't forget that part.
Coming soon.
20,000 rise against we like zombies and Juve money.
Hi, join us for your movie classics on NCBN TT Television Network every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. with repeats on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. NCBN Television, the #1 online television network, bringing you the classics.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. So, Allan, so we were talking about all these kids and grandkids that you have that go to St. Benedicts. Your heart is buried in the St. Benedicts. Dom had taught us a lot about, everything. I mean, Dom was Dom the father, Dom the son, and Dom the mother, Dom the father, Dom the everything. He really set our life to what it is. And so what's with St. Benedict's and you and the family, or is that just happened by accident?
Well, I wouldn't say accident. I got a scholarship from Fatima Intermediate to go to St. Benedict's College. I wasn't even thinking about that because, like I say, I was 12, 13 around that time. Benedict's top goalkeeper or first division goalkeeper was Mervyn Joseph. He was the second best in the island, period, because it was Lincoln in the north and Mervyn in the south. And Mervyn was leaving. So once I get to St. Benedict's College, that was it. I had a guideline. I had shoes to fill, footsteps to follow. So after all that, when I got married, and I had my first child was a girl, so I named her Alana, which was an unusual name, And then I had my son, Allan, and then another son, Art. They all passed common entrance and they did well, They went to St. Benedict's College. So the tradition continued there. And then my daughter, she started teaching St. Benedict's College. So Reggie Renwick, who was my form master, he called me crying. He said, man, imagine I taught you in school and now I'm teaching alongside your daughter in St. Benedict's College. But she just loved St. Benedict's College. And the guys did well because they had my name to follow in the school, and because, at that time, the dom was gone. So now Art got married to St. Benedict's College alumni daughter. they had two boys, and two grandsons going to St. Benedict's College. So it's seriously a tradition that they follow, you know, and they love it because the name, the legacy go on. They could walk and say, listen, like that's Allan Cupid grandson, you know? So they have to write up, perform or step up, you know. And it's good for me because when I come, I went to pass through the college and check them out and make sure everything's good. Yeah.
I was about to ask you if you ever went back into the school since you left, because I went back one time, and I'm disappointed at that right now because I felt like I should have gone back a lot more.
Well, I live abroad, so every time I come to Trinidad, which was like every year because I come every carnival, I would go into school. Ali, little Ali, he was still there. So I used to go there and I would make a contribution to the football section. But I think it might be 3 years or 4 years ago when my grandson started to go there, just before the COVID. I went there. The security guard let me get in. I went to the school administration and I showed the guy my ID and tell him, listen, this is Allan Cupid. I was here before. My daughter teaches here. And the guy wouldn't let me, and he wouldn't let me. He was supposed to let my grandson come and say, listen, yeah, that's my grandfather, come out and talk, man. And he was giving me a whole set of rigmarole story so I just left, you know, and that was it. So the sports master get to find out, so he called me and asked me to come back. But at that time I'd already left. So it wasn't a good reception because the people at that time in charge didn't go to St. Benedict's College and they didn't know the history of St. Benedict's College. Otherwise it would have been a different story.
Even the people, when after Dom left, the people right after Dom, like Keynes and others, they wanted to wipe the Dom name out of that school for whatever reason. That's how I felt because it wasn't the same.
You're right 100% because Keynes always challenged the footballers in the college because he felt that we had more privilege than him. But we were making the college because at that time they weren't government assisted. So people would used to pay dues, so we would make money from the shop owners and the business people around would donate money to the college because of the team, you see?
Right.
And that is what, and after we got government assisted, because you had to pay dues to go to St. Benedict's College. And Keynes thought that we had more privilege than him in the school. At one time, Kenny had done something wrong and he was the dean of discipline. Before it was Long was the dean of discipline. And Keynes wanted to beat Kenny for revenge. And the Dom come and said, no, we have to punish him in a different way. Right. Suspend him for a game, you know what I mean? And it hurt Kenny core because you're getting suspended. Kenny was the star at that time, you know. Archie and Dilly wasn't as good as Kenny in that little spur of the moment, you know. Kenny was it. And he had punishment for him when he got suspended for that game. So, yeah, I mean, that was worse than if you had beat him, you know. And that is what Keynes took on. And so he vowed to destroy all the legacies that the Dom started. That was the Dom building. That was his $100 and Mutilan Mudan tractor that cut that land.
Right.
You see, and that was it. So certain people didn't know that, but that was he was harboring that because he figured that we got too many privileges. But we were the ones that really put the college on the map and was bringing in finance to the college at the time.
Right. You know, yeah, and that's why I never went back. I didn't felt like I was welcome like how we were when we were attending school. Yeah. So but I live to regret that kind of, because now that, you know, it's like I went there when Reggie donated some computers to the school.
Right.
And they say, oh, you know, and you never came back.
Yeah, but when I went there, Declan Singh, he was the principal. John was still there. So, and Franklin Barker, he was in the snack, he was still alive.
Yeah.
But so every time I come, I would go. But I felt really disrespected with this last regime when I went there because I identified myself, literally given my ID, and he was telling me about people come here and walk. I said, look, man, this is my ID. Call my grandson, and you know, and then I said, let me talk to somebody else. And she was saying the same thing. People come here and claim it to be such and such and such. So I just left it alone.
So if the gates were open to us as footballers, or ex-footballers at the school, or ex-student athletes, and would you have gone back and nurture or tutor or you know, lend your expertise to some of the footballers coming up, or what
Well, I've been away for a long time, but between the period of 1972 to 1979, I coached a team in Forest
Right.
Police, and I recruited a lot of guys. 7 of them went on to the national team. I mean,
Okay.
been unbeaten from Division 4 up to Division 1, you know. So I did try, but it really was my passion after that because it was no money to make, you know what I mean? And I had a family to feed at the time. I have a wife and 2 kids at the time, you know? So when I went back, because from America, after my professional stint, I came back. And then I went on and that was it, you know, and all my kids did well. So I have no regrets because it took a while, because everything goes in a cycle, you know? Because John was there.
Right.
Yep.
And Jan fell out with them too.
Right, yep. And he was there, and he had the same problem with Keynes.
With Keynes, yeah.
Right.
So if you were to see the guys now before the game, because the whole point of this show is really the rivalry, but we end up talking a lot of different things. And how would you tell them to prepare?
I say let their practice, let their training flow. This game should be another game. This game shouldn't be that big in your heart, in your mind, because this is what you're accustomed doing. Play ball, be yourself, stick to your discipline, and play for the guy next to you. And remember that, like I say, there's no I in team.
Right.
You know, and once you have that training and you have your discipline, you play. And the dumb used to say, fight until they drop. You never stop scoring. They see, like now, if you score in a game and you score, they pull out the players, and no, we play to win the game. So you have to be focused on you, and then it's going to rub off with the rest of the team. So they shouldn't be all over the place. Keep your mind focused on that game, and there'll be no butterflies because this is what you normally do, and everything is going to fall into place because of your training, because of your practice.
So now I'll put you on the spot. You're the coach. How you approach this game? What style you play? Or I mean, it's very difficult because I haven't seen Fatima, I know. But what do you do? You take them out for camp before? What do you do?
The night before, you let everybody be themselves, be cool.
You bring them together.
Together, we probably have a meal, you know, and we just relax. You break the tension, break the ice. Let them know the game is important. Tomorrow. See what I'm saying? That tomorrow.
Right.
Relax. Get your mind in the right frame. And then after that, tomorrow you get focused from jump. Nothing. You come like a horse with blinders. You focus. You're not going to let any little chat from the side, because people would say, like, listen, well, so on Fatima this and Fatima that, they got the biggest crowd. You ain't playing the crowd. You're playing them 11 guys on the field. So focus on that field. Play your system. If you see stuff that is not working for you on the field, you should have a captain, or you should be focused enough to make the changes on the field. You see, because I remember we played a game, and Charlie Spooner from Army, Laga couldn't get a wrong army that actually. So he switched and bring somebody else. So they have to be able to make changes on the field within their system and stay focused.
So you wouldn't, talk to them about the rivalry that existed in the past, and maybe I don't even think they know about the rivalry. But would you, as a person who went through this 50-something years ago, would you kind of talk about that, or?
Yeah, but even if I would tell them what we've been through and how it was for us there and then. But I don't think these guys know. Fatima people, Everett or Fu, some of them guys supposed to let them know about that rivalry, but I don't think they know that far back. You see what I'm saying? Because I mean we didn't have video, we didn't have TV like it was, so that you could actually go back and pull up a tape and see a game. It was in people's memory. You see, you should like we're doing this show now. Time has changed. They could actually see that, but we couldn't do that at that time. So it was still photos, and everything was in your heart or in your memory. So even the ball changed, football changed. There are no shots. You can't know if a goalkeeper good or not because I ain't seen no shots. I ain't seen no saves. I seen the goalkeeper, he can't touch the ball if you pass it back to him, No, you can't, before, that ball must come outside the 18-yard box before you could touch it. Now you pass it right there and everything changed, you know what I mean? They had the 4-step rule. You cannot carry that ball as a goalkeeper for 4 steps. You had to bounce it for 1, and then you had 4 steps to get rid of the ball. Now they're taking it and they run. Right, football changed. I see them taking a ball from way back here and going back to the goalkeeper. For what? And you're right in front of the goal. So we had that. Our system was total football, score goals. We beat a team 21-0. Did you know that? And the guy, when Benedicts beat St. Augustine 14-1, the guy was saying that's the most amount of goals. No.
Yeah.
And this game is a game in history because it was an FA game. We played Asja and beat Asja 21-0 in 60 minutes, Steve.
Right.
You scored that game.
I know. Everybody in the team.
I scored too.
You got a penalty.
A penalty, yeah. So
everybody in this team scored.
Yep.
So, I mean, what you envision, or what would you like to see on this game coming up tomorrow night?
I want to see Benedicts beat Fatima like we are accustomed to it because, hey, this rivalry here is going to linger just like it did for us back then. It's back here now. So they have to win this game. They have to win this game because it's in Benedicts College. We don't lose.
And
we don't lose.
But the one thing and I don't know if it's out of college football or not, but weeks before we developed different chants, right?
Right.
And you sing it in the bus going, you sing it at the game, the people in the stands sing it. I don't know if that still happens.
Well, I haven't been to a game, but I knew it used to happen. Da 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 da.
Right.
And we had that. Plus, Benedicts had a band.
Right.
And our band had guys that could blow bugle and trumpet. We had Iron Men. At one time they said no iron in Skinner Park. Them guys buy sandwich loaf, stuff the sandwich loaf with the iron and be in the stand right through. The supporters play a great part in that too because we didn't want to let down South, especially La Romaine, that little village right there. But you didn't force it. It's yourself and your family, you know what I mean? And you had to. I remember I played a game, we played St. Mary's and we lost 2-1 St. Mary's, but it wasn't an intercall. And you know what the headline? Cupid fails St. Benedicts. That was the headline the Monday. Serious, And I said that would never happen again. It wasn't fair, but that is how it was. But the two commentators that they had at that time, it was Hollis Chinky Fat and Rafi Knowles, So Helsinki Fat was Benedict, Raffin was anybody else but Benedicts. But then good football quashed that. we met all of that stuff because of the good football. So I tell them guys, listen, I call it deja vu all over again. This is what's happening right now. What goes around comes around. So this Benedicts team, I've got to win. They got to play ball, got to focus.
Like you said, Cupid feels manic.
Yes.
No, it set me thinking. I never thought about it until right this minute. There's two people. They always say throw the game, either the forward
or the
goalkeeper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You throw the game. I know, because the two, those like the two major positions. You give up a goal or you score a goal.
Right.
And it's strange.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping for the best for St. Benedict's College tomorrow.
I am too.
Because we had some good teams in between then and now. So this is good that now they're back up on top of the totem pole, and and we hope for the best.
But going back a step, after that, I read an article where they say Cupid stood between victory and defeat for St. Benedict's College after that, especially that 2-1 game, and when we beat them after that. These guys have to stay focused and know that their training and the foundation is going to kick in the play as long as they stay and be themselves and play and don't overextend themselves and that causes mistakes. So just play the game like a normal game. And the goals would come into play and because this team looked like they could score goals because the closest rivalry in San Fernando give presentation 5, so that's it. I don't know the coach. I don't know the coach. Yeah.
Okay, Allan, we come to the end. It's been fun sitting and talking to you for a little bit. I know you just came back in from the U.S. and you have a few days with the family.
Yeah.
Have fun. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much, bud. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for the exposure, man. And you're doing a hell of a job, because this is bringing back memories and bringing the players that wouldn't have been recognized had it not been for you and your program. So look, man, God bless.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Bud. Thanks. NCBN, thank you for giving us the opportunity. Viewers, thank you for tuning in every Tuesday night at 8. And you can always check us out on Facebook. We do have an email address, fieldofdreamtt@gmail.com, where you can drop us a line. This show has ended. Go in peace. I'm Steve David. Good night.